Oh, welcome back, everyone. Now, joining us this morning, we have John Farquhar. You are the Chief Credit Officer of Superior National Bank and Trust, correct?
Correct.
All right. Thank you for joining us so much, John. A lot of times this time of the year, people want to get their finances put back into shape. You know, it might be their resolution for the year ahead. Big questions, I think, yet about credit scores. You know, first off, could you tell us what is a credit score? Why is it so important?
A credit score is basically it's a mystery because it's a proprietary kind of calculation, and it basically tells the company who's using it what your behaviors are in terms of paying your bills.
Okay.
And it is proprietary, so we don't know what the calculations, me personally, I don't know what the calculations are to go into it. And there are different types of credit score. The original one was produced by Fair Isaac, now it's called FICO, and that was the original credit score. But there are other companies that use their own credit scoring method. Each one, you know, slightly different. So you might get a little variation in certain credit scores. Basically, the main credit bureaus, the three main credit bureaus use FICO, and that's the one you hear about a lot.
Right.
And it's basically a calculation to determine how well you pay your bills.
So in other words, you know, we were talking about this. So there are some people who say, well, I have like very little credit card debt. You know, I haven't bought a lot of things on credit, but their scores are pretty poor. You know, why is that?
The reason is they haven't established their credit. Your credit, the way they calculate that credit score, some of it involves your ability to repay. So if you've never borrowed before, that means you've never repaid. So that part of the calculation isn't good, and therefore it brings the credit score down.
Gotcha.
I tell a lot of people, you know, even if you want to buy a car for a couple $1,000s, you have the couple $1,000s, sometimes it's good to borrow it, pay it off early. It shows that you can get your credit and also repay it, and that adds into your score, bringing your credit score up a bit.
Now, where should a credit score be? I know that they've got a big range, so maybe you could tell us a little bit about the numbers.
They range, the low side is down in the upper 300s. Okay. The high side is in the upper 800s.
Okay.
A good credit score, typically if you're going to want to borrow, or again now, insurance companies use credit scores in terms of how much they charge you for your insurance. Typically, you want to be above that 700 range. If you're above the 700 range, upper 700s, low 800s, then you'll get good credit and also good favorable treatment on your bills.
Sounds great. Now, if you've got a bad score, what are things you can do to get it better?
Number one, pay your bills on time.
Okay.
If you don't pay your bills on time, you're not going to have a good credit score. Also, the other thing is don't keep your balances up near the top. Some people will sometimes say, I'm going to consolidate all my bills onto one credit card. The problem is you're bringing that one credit card near the top, and if you don't have the ability to repay it, that's going to hurt you. Gotcha. Again, the credit score goes up as you repay your bills. So if you have an installment loan and you pay it down, higher credit score. But if you have revolving credit and you keep it near the max, it's not going to lower it.
Ah, okay.
So if you do have revolving credit, it's a good idea to pay it down, borrow back up, pay it down. Again, that credit score goes up if you show the ability to pay it down. Okay,
one more quick question. Those credit reports, we hear about all these free, check it for free.
Yes.
You know, those come with a word of caution, it sounds like?
Yes. I recommend people go to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They have a very good website. It's produced by the government. There is a website on there. If you go and they'll tell you, go to annualcreditreport.com. That'll get you your credit report. It's required by law from the credit reporting agencies. It won't give you your credit score. You got to pay extra for that. But they will give you your credit report. And it's a good idea to check that annually, just to check to make sure there's nothing funny on there, just in case someone has happened to, you know, steal some of your credit and steal some of your identity. But I recommend going to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau website. That's the good website.
Perfect. I know it's much more complex than what we can talk about, but of course you're always available to help people with their scores. And you know, it's just something, talk it over with your financial planners and get it back on track. I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning, John, explaining a little bit more about credit reports and credit scoring. In the meantime, Ashley Kirkland is learning a little bit more about Heikki Lunta and some great Finnish food this morning. We're going to hear more about that next.